it's quite a tacky line here, but what I've seen you've been through the past 2 days is talking about technologies, about digital, about kind of how to make the difference. And sometimes you have some sponsors, leadership you need to convince. I understand yesterday I could sadly not be here, but you also talked some of us taking up the classical thing, who wants to change? So today you are my leadership. You're a little bit of experiment here. You're probably also having some Ritas in you. You can feel Rita. I think the type was just here. Rita is one who knows this shit, right? She has been around for quite a while. You're leadership. You've been in this position for 10, 15 years too. So one of the things that I can probably, as in my role as project manager, a nudger, or whatever we call it, I can ask you to do a kind of small change. You can move your chair 1 centimeter. Can you do that? As my leadership, I can easily convince you to do that, right? But can I convince you to stand up and do the choreography? I can't even, sorry, Monica, can't really talk. That would be kind of difficult as a Rita, right, to move that. But that's actually what we want to with the digital things, because we are so stationary in our kind of mindset in where we are and where we've been. So I could also just kind of use, some of you know that it's 2 lines here. I can do a change and saying this is a better setting. I can go over here. It's still okay with the camera because they can see me, those who are potentially out there. But if I'm doing really something very transformative, the camera has a big issue. I'm still here, by the way, but they cannot kind of see me. So it's about daring and doing these kind of steps out in the unknown. And this is what we need to do with the leadership, because they don't know digital healthcare, right? Many of them don't do at least. So take you through a little bit of story on this part. There instead, sorry. So I'm a Danish guy living in Belgium, working for a Japanese company, doing medical devices. Recently been living in Netherlands and Italy too. So I'm a little bit of kind of a funny breed. But what I'm also is, I'm a Danish guy, and I'm using this extremely, because I'm the only one in my headquarters which is Danish. So I'm just doing the Danish way, and no one can tell whether this is actually true or not. I'm telling that the Danish way is very provocative. It's talking just straight out and saying this is it. And you can imagine being in a Japanese culture. We talked a little bit with some here in the break. What is Japanese things? In my kind of region, being in a Japanese company, we're doing nemawashi. It's kind of a word about having maintained relations, maintain that no one is losing face and so on. And then you can kind of see this thing just bracking in and do kind of thing. That is my role in the company. They had a little bit difficulties with it, but nevertheless, they kind of got used to it. So I'm working with strategy. I'm working with project management office, portfolio, these kind of things. So what are we providing? We're doing kind of standard nerdish thing as PMO, project management office, is what we are kind of set in C. Let's be doing some nerdy things, being project manager, managing the portfolio and blah, blah, blah kind of thing. This is kind of getting vintage now. So we're actually moving more into strategic benefit. You're clapping there? Thank you. So it's not me who invented it, I must admit. I would have liked to, but we're basically looking into strategic realization of it instead. Really about making the difference on benefits for the organization. I'm sitting in this corporate function. I need to have a different business unit and so on. And I'm a service provider. But who cares what I do with nerdies and setting up rules for governance on my portfolio? No one cares. People cares if I'm actually with the projects, with the portfolio, with the strategy is making a difference, moving into the digital area, right? This is making a difference, and that's getting you noticed. And that actually makes kind of me happy too, and clearly happy too. All right, good. So this is kind of my landscape. So we need to talk a little bit about kind of strategy before we kind of move into these leadership, because they need to work with strategy. I'm coming from a medical device company that is 103 years old, with some of our products is 20, 40 years old. Some of them are pretty new and disruptive, but a lot of it is still kind of what we've done before. Syringes, thermometers, whatever kind of thing. That's good, it's stable. Leadership, Rita, I can move you easily, kind of 1 centimeter. You're used to do that. You're used to optimize the setting. You're getting recognition from your management that every year you have produced 1% better. But these leaders is not used to and saying, doing this here, going outside the boundary, right? And this is part of where we need to set a strategy with them. So part of kind of setting the strategy is really about setting kind of the problem, figure out kind of what it is. I see my screen here is a little bit small, so I have my kind of oldish problem here. Still, some of you guys, technology, can you fix this part? All right, so we are typical kind of things doing standard problem. We define a strategy. Hallelujah, we have a strategy, we have a vision, we have a mission. And then we tend to leave it there. Small giggles, is right? Yeah. We tend to formulate brave stuff, but in reality, we're not that brave, right? We feel comfortable moving here, right? So this is about really making it because so many is doing it. And that's kind of my role, to move it into planning, execution, really making kind of the difference of it. And we're aiming for breakthrough. This is a kind of word we're using, breakthrough. And it's definitely not breakthrough just to sell 1% more of these stents that we have done the last 30 years. Is that breakthrough? No. Breakthrough is to find a new pathway, integrate digital components, as you were saying, maybe even dance through it with Rita or something else, but we don't know. So we are putting up sketches, scenarios, trying to kind of plan for the unknown. But we're scared like shit. It's uncomfortable. We don't know where to go. So this is also kind of the landscape. We need to work with these here. So what are we doing at Terumo on digital? Sorry, I can't tell you because, of course, that company confidential. But where is it kind of taking digital into this strategy and moving on with this? So just doing the same, not relevant. Doing kind of selling more of the devices we have. Yeah, of course, we want to stay in business. We still want to do. It's not really about a digital strategy or health kind of thing. Keep motivated with our staff and so on. Yeah, that's also good. It's not something that we should leave, but it's still not making the differences. So what is kind of the strategic kind of initiatives you want to have? Bravery, you want to look beyond. And also, we want to find some of these capabilities and strengths we have or maybe do not have. So for example, very typical, I have people in my organization from regulatory quality affairs. They know how to deal with this one. It's a medical device. You can see it. You can register it with FDA, CE marking on all of this kind of thing. But this here, show here is now a digital show. We even sell that sometimes as a digital show that you can earn money about. So how do you actually register that? So do I have this kind of staff in my organization? Usually not. So because we are being 30 years working on this one, so I need, not only when I think strategy, I also need to figure out what competences, what capabilities do I need to make this journey, how to get there. So I also need, not necessarily fire the old, hire the new. We can easily transform and train people in this area. But it's something that comes, is a company products of doing it. And if you forget this, you're still having the retailers and you're really not moving because you do not have the capabilities. So me as a PMO, a strategic realization office, I'm working and saying to my members of my staff and saying, next year, I'm expecting my leadership to be at this maturity level. What do we need actually to engage with them and meet them where they are at this point of time? We know what we can do now, but if I'm talking too much about future they're scared about, they will not move. So I need to move them slowly. But if I'm using these capabilities here to where the leadership is in 1 year, we have not made a match. So I'm on the move, they are on the move. We need to remember that it's all about kind of maturity, being at one stage that is designed and changed to a new one. So move with them, ask them to move, but you also need to make kind of your own journey about it and make that happening. So your leadership team, how are they? They are usually very operational, at least the ones that I have. I sometimes call them 95% people. 90% or 95% people are actually being, let's say, made happy, recognized if they make things 1% better. So I need to find the 5% of innovation in these people who are used to do over the last 10 years doing the same. And that's kind of difficult. They're getting scared. They're denial. And so on, all of these kind of things. I understand yesterday there was a graph shown about who actually wants change, who wants to do the change, and so on. And this is kind of the mantra we're in here too, right? We're also looking at change and transformation. It's something where my organization, at the current maturity, they don't really understand me. They're slowly getting it, but we are slowly setting up and planning for a strategic realization office, a transformation office, because we hope they're actually here and thinking more, not only change. You were talking a lot about change. For me, change is that we know exactly where we go. It's a dedicated journey. We know we go from A over here. We know what we need. We know the retailers don't like it. They need to change. They need to be motivated forward. We set up stakeholder analysis, define personas, make communication plans, and so on. I won't say it's easy. I really recognize the work you've done. Amazing. But we actually want to go them into a transformation mode. And transformation is also where we do not know the end station. It's something more imaginary. But we know, for example, it's on our corporate website, that we want, among others, going with cyclical, delivery, and digital. And then digital, the F is kind of that. And this is where we need to do transformation, because we do not know exactly the end station. We do not know what products we will actually sell in 5 years. But we need to prepare for it. We need to go there. So this is kind of where we also need, I'm training my leadership a lot on this one. They find it weirdo to do it, but being Danish, it sometimes helps. But we need to get them through this kind of denial mode. You've probably seen this thousands of times. Seen it? Yes. So you know we need to get them through this. Not existed here, we don't do that. And then being acceptance and really going to it. So I have luckily a CEO who is helping me and also motivating and saying what we do kind of today is not what we want to do tomorrow in the future. We do not just want to go with increment. We want to go with backcasting. So his kind of word is, let's not do forecasting. When we do budget rounds, most companies every year, the same show going on, let's predict the future, let's make some budgets for the next years. You do it, I do it, right? We're looking, okay, we spend 5% more on training and so on. We go to more of these conferences for sure, right? Selling more tickets to these guys. But this is what we do, but that's not necessarily very transformative on it. So I'm actually setting up and saying, hey, guys in my team, you need to think differently. You actually need to set you up as speakers, like I am doing, not because I am the best, but you need to do, because this will move you very much. It's uncomfortable, it's something new, right? So let's move and do that move and think this is what we need to do. Because else what would happen with my staff is saying, okay, you can do this in your training program, this annual plan, you can move here, you can move here. So overall, with these incremental moves, I'll probably end over here. But I actually want my staff to end over here in the transformative space, right? Where we can do something new. And if I'm just using my standard budgeting incremental kind of thing, we're not getting there. So be brave, put up your kind of target, where do you want to be, and then plan backwards and saying, okay, that actually means I need these capabilities. Tomorrow I need, or next year, my guys in the transformation is, or my leadership is there and there and there, and then try to meet them. So mentally, we need to get this stretch. So I'm using these words. It's also actually found in some of the lean technologies and so on. I'm basically a brave and a proud stealer of various kind of systems, right? So breakthrough targets is something that is also in Hoshin Kanri, some of these kind of tools. Breakthrough. And then they're saying, okay, we want to do this. Is that really breakthrough? It's what we can do. Yeah, but that's the incremental kind of thinking. So what can you actually do? So having these mindset, really going for this stretch, and also play with their kind of mindset, and also saying red is good. We all see the different traffic signals report, green, yellow, amber, and red. And being a leader in a leadership, you're being measured on your KPIs or OKRs or something else, right? So you are used to, it has to be green because then I'm getting my incentives and we move on. So having something red is bloody scary. But I'm trying to say it's good to have some red, because if we're doing actually a plan that was all green, it's too easy. We did not challenge ourselves enough. If it's all red, then we're probably being too optimistic and didn't have any reality to sense of what we could do. But a bit of red is actually good. It shows that we're stretching ourselves. We are motivated to do a little bit more. We're actually motivated to kill this little red lamp that is there and go and hunt that and trying to get that green, because this is possible for us. So dare them to formulate something that is, let's say, more difficult than it is. So maybe try to do a ramp up. Work when you work with your leadership. Work when you need to get your digital, Monica needs to get well convinced about listening to music, being in the self and so on. How to convince leaderships around to do that is really, you can't do that with increments, with change. You can make something better with change. Change is deterministic next stage, but you need to go even beyond on it, because else you are stationary, you do not move. I think in many digital clinics, we talked a little bit in the break in one about of populations of people we meet out there, digital savviness of pathologies to other kind of types of it. And this is also where we're seeing that you actually work with a mixed population and use that kind of thing and getting the youngest one to see the digital kind of things coming up. They're usually more experimentative. They dare to do a little bit more and showcase that you can actually do it. So leadership, hold their hand, help them, and then that's what I am. I'm medium annoying. I'm really trying to do the balance of just being medium annoying. If I'm too kind, we do not move. If I'm too annoying, they say, whatever, right? He's kind of out of bounds. That doesn't help. So find the balance point of being medium annoying. This is where you can trigger kind of the leadership, where you can get your digital transformation or digital products coming through. Of course, there's tools to help there, but one of the things when you're looking at these reports and so on, one of the mental things I'm trying to convince to my one is They have been brave enough and saying, here I am, this is where I want to go. There's a gap between this. Then they're saying, when they are here now, I want to do this. Great, good, I like your initiative. And then it's saying, how much of the gap did you actually close by doing so? So they feel they're moving 25%. But when we're actually looking at the result, how much of the gap did you actually close here? 10% or so. Okay, that means we need more initiatives actually to make it. We will be too slow if we're kind of doing this. So one of the things that is really interesting to work with them is work with a gap. It's very understandable for most people. This is where we want to be. And then what is the distance? And with our actions, how much do we actually do to resolve it? And then basically, whatever you do, I think that will make a difference. You can ask me how to be a Dane, but you could also kind of find you are in a kind of medium annoying thing. Are you medium annoying?
I really hope so.
You hope so. All right, that's good. So let's kind of find this. I could talk more and show you more, but here was kind of trying to end first time. Do you want a little bit more? I know the speakers was kind of, or do you want to go into the groups? Is this scary? Okay, I'll give you a little bit more. Am I allowed to give a little bit more? Okay, yeah, let's just say kill it, right? So there's a traditional site with my LinkedIn. So how to kind of help with the leadership. So one of the things, if I took my notebook, the first thing I always do with a new booklet where you write notes is take the last page and write big no. It's funny how you all quickly get Mr. No. But I'm working in the portfolio and the project things, and what is very typical is we're doing too many things. We're not focused. So say no to a lot of things. Is that really what we want? Is that just this 1% increment? Is this really what we have? So we're usually multitasking. We're usually doing too much. So say no, stop things, remove the bottlenecks, and that actually means you have place to resolve the gap. Put in initiatives that actually moves you faster, because else you drag along of you a lot of legacy behind you of things you don't really need in the new future. You may need to update this platform or whatever because it doesn't work anymore. The license of Microsoft is vintage or whatever. Let's fix this. Yeah, okay. But why we are fixing old systems that we don't necessarily need in the future? So stop doing things that doesn't create strategic value or benefit realization. We also see all of this kind of panic, and we get these pet projects and other things. This is what I think is best. Let's do it, right? And sometimes they have the mandate, the power to it. No. So it's funny that I was working with one of our business divisions. They wanted a new CRM system, customer relation management system, and we stopped them in our kind of portfolio saying, no, this is not good enough. We understand you need it. Go back. You are not convincing us as company and as leadership that you actually make a kind of benefit that can be measured in cash, just normal kind of KPI. It doesn't really give something new. It's just replicating your Excel sheets into kind of whatever a new tool. It doesn't make a breakthrough. It's not really synchronized with what else we have of CRM system, so they were pushed back. They came back a month later. We have now redefined it. It's much better now. But then I had to say, sorry, we don't have the resource for it. It's good, but we don't have it. So let's see if we can combine it with the other business unit. And then there was a little bit dogfight between them, who is actually having most right to these resources. And funny enough, these two business units actually agreed and came up with a proposal. Then the IT said, no, We cannot do it. It's just not logical sequence. But anyway, through all of these, we came to a point where we actually defined a really good project, really giving value, really seeing, but also have a transformative element because we're now asking the key account management to do things different than we did before. So sometimes just don't do it because it's obvious. Nothing much is obvious in a digital era. We need to think different, do things different. So slim down, do things more efficient, and so on. One of the fun things is also trying to play bingo with them. It's not bullshit bingo, it's strategic bingo, right? So we have these bingo plates. And when people is coming and saying, I have this great idea of a new project, and saying, yeah, it's good. How much bingo can you actually fill up? How much of the plate can you fill up? And the plate is full of kind of strategic initiatives. We want to go digital. We also motivate our staff. We want to increase the skill set of employees or whatever kind of things there is there. We want to be one Terumo. There is a lot of mantras. There is an organization. How much can you actually fill this? And they also know when I'm presenting, they're coming with these great ideas, not because I want to stop everything in the world. I just want to get them better. And this is kind of a very easy language and saying, okay, how can you actually improve the bingo plate? Can you actually get a row in this here line? Because this helps us to work with you as senior leadership, because you also need to see kind of the value in it. So let's see how much we can actually redefine and maximize it. A small story, talking with one guy in credit control, he wants to use and remove 2 days of work for a certain lady. That's efficient, that's the 1%, that's 95% mind going there, right? Saying, no, we can do that. We can make some tea and so on doing so. But what is actually the problem? Making a short story very short it was actually about credit control. It was about getting money faster into the shop, meaning free cash flow. So we're actually looking at, we could implement and remove the Excel sheet that this lady was using and misusing 2 days on it and solve that and put some IT behind it. But we could actually look at what is the real problem, what is the real benefit, is actually free cash flow. So how do we optimize the free cash flow? So it was a totally different solution we came up to, actually starting with one problem, but redefining it into something else. So now we're getting much more into our box of money and can be using to reinvestment instead. We still have the retail out there doing some stuff, but it's okay. All right. In my area, I'm working with projects. We're doing a lot of tada. We are defining, for example, the CRM system. We use endless of time to figure out what is the requirement, what should be the new thing, how is it made, and so on. And then we are very proud as a project managers if we have met the time, met the budget, met the quality, and then we're saying, tada, here is a system. And who's actually using them? It's not used. Oh, shit, right? So we have kind of changed the mantra. And also now I have one in my team that I call project developer, because we see that notoriously the organization is bad to formulate projects. So the most benefit for the bang of money of the team I have is actually not to be professional project managers for moving projects from A to Z. It is to define the projects for the organization. Even the better I define the projects, the more strategic value I get in there, because usually they can execute much on themselves when it really comes to. I do have a change manager too in my team, by the way, that is also working with the humans to say, once we do the data, that's it. And we're also making some exercise about kind of gaining this value. All right, so we're using some tools. We're using Hoshinkanri. I don't want to do so much, but it's really about thinking big. And this is one of the tools that is just on the website somewhere that you can use, making, instead of ending up having these big plans and nothing happens, Hoshinkanri is a tool that you can use for that. There's many other tools of it, but it focus not on making the strategy, but focus on executing the strategy. There's more about it, but I think that is probably using my time here. So there are provocations, medium annoying, but there's also actually tools, mindset, moving people, and you might need to actually to redefine your department. I am moving project managers to be project business managers, or defining projects with value, with benefit, aligned with my bingo plate, giving more strategy implemented, saying no to stuff, having change managers into it. And now we're starting the new fun stuff. We're going with and breaking the mindset of the retailers out there. He's talking transformation, but they're not really yet there. We still kind of need to do some more trainings of it. Thank you for that.